It's Friday, August 28th, 2020. I'm Greg Nibbler, and this is Digital Trends Live. Yes, indeed. Hello, everyone. This is Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler, and thank you for joining us wherever you are. We appreciate it. We broadcast live here every weekday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, bringing you trending tech headlines, news, interviews, discussions, and more. And don't forget to go to youtube.com/digitaltrendslive and hit subscribe. All right, let's get started on some news here for the start of the day. There is a massive in-person and virtual march on Washington happening today. It's being organized by the National Action Network and the NAACP and others on the 57th anniversary of Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech. So the in-person march is called the Commitment March, Get Your Knees Off Our Necks, which will call for, in part, comprehensive police accountability reform, completion of the census, and mobilizing voters for November. Speeches will be delivered by Martin Luther King III, Al Sharpton, and others, with around 50,000 people expected to attend in person. Safety measures in place will include masks when entering and sanitization stations. The virtual march started yesterday but continues on today as well with a giant lineup of speakers. Some of the speakers who have already spoken are Cory Booker, Nancy Pelosi, Stacey Abrams, Mahershala Ali, and many, many more. And today's events will culminate in a speech by Reverend Dr. William J. Barber II. So the entire event and march is being streamed online on a number of sites, including at 2020march.com and the National Action Network's website. Read more about it there. Continuing on here with trending news. There has been a steady run of successful ransomware cyber attacks against companies this year, including a recent one against Garmin, and it appears Tesla came close to also being a victim to one of the schemes. So the attempt was confirmed by Elon Musk on Twitter, and the details were outlined in a criminal complaint that's been filed against a Russian man who attempted to carry it out. But here's how it allegedly went down. So this Russian guy met with an unnamed employee from Tesla multiple times, taking them out for drinks and dinner, trying to convince them to install malware on the company's servers, which would then steal data which they could hold for ransom. The malware needed to run for 6 to 8 hours to fully carry that out, so the plan was that it would create a distraction with a denial of services attack first, then pilfer all the data in the background. Once completed, they would then ask for $4 million from Tesla in order to release the hold on the information. But the only way to get it to work was to have the malware installed by the employee, so they offered this person $1 million to carry it out. The employee, however, decided not to play ball and reported the attempted bribe to Tesla, who then got the FBI involved to create a sting to catch the hacker. Supposedly, the hacker tried to flee the country, but they were able to bring him into custody as they now try to track down the larger network that he was a part of. This reads like something from a movie, but it's a great reminder of how much money is in the ransomware business and how valuable data really is. There's probably going to be a lot more details released on this today, so stay tuned at digitaltrends.com. As we interact with each other in a are we ready, actually? Let's start that over. Are we destined to interact with each other in a Ready Player One style virtual world oasis? Well, if so, it may look like Facebook's Horizon, and the public beta has just opened up for registration. Horizon was announced about a year ago by Facebook as a VR platform for Oculus, and it's been in a closed beta since early this fall. So part of the main theme of the platform is that players engage with the VR world through their own avatar, visiting pre-made destinations like virtual restaurants and theaters, but you're also allowed to create landscapes and games with in-app creator tools. So there's a number of games already available for users who are accepted into the beta, including one called Balloon Bash, where you shoot water balloons, and one that's set up more as like an escape room. So the social part of it is one of the biggest things, though, particularly in this time of coronavirus and social distancing. For now, Facebook said that up to 8 people can virtually meet up via their avatars and hang out, but they're envisioning bigger, larger spaces soon. There's also a robust safety system being touted where you can easily step out of a room and kind of hit pause if things get overwhelming, or report a user who's being an issue, which of course that's bound to happen. It seems kind of like this thing has aspects of Minecraft, Second Life, Ready Player One, and maybe a little bit of the Matrix, all mixed into one. And you can sign up for the beta yourself and read more on Horizon's homepage and at digitaltrends.com. SpaceX just keeps on securing launches as the push for commercial space endeavors continues on, with NASA awarding them a contract to send a lunar lander to the moon. So the lander is called the XL-1, and it's from Masten Space Systems, which is part of the MM-1 mission. So this particular lander will end up on the moon's south pole, loaded with not only scientific equipment and instruments to explore the potential of ice that could be used as future fuel, but also with payloads from commercial space companies. This is all part of NASA's Commercial Lunar Payload Service program, which aims to form partnerships with commercial companies looking to explore the moon and help NASA in its missions. The goal is to help foster the building of an industry on the moon, with companies profiting from lunar resources and exploration. As for SpaceX, they haven't announced which of their spacefaring vehicles will be used to bring the MM-1 to the moon. They compete against about a dozen other companies, including Blue Origin and Boeing, and it's expected there will be many more contracts to be had in the coming years. The mission is expected to launch in 2022, and since it's a couple of years out, it may just be the right time for them to send up their Starship, which is in advanced testing now. You can read more about it at digitaltrends.com. All right, as we have all changed up how we work, certainly there is a lot of factors that we need to consider when interacting with our coworkers or maybe business partners or possibly customers online. And to talk about this and more, we have returning once again Ciara Pressler for another edition of Work Life to help guide us through this crazy world we live in right now. Ciara, it's always so good to see you. What should we talk about here today?
That's a big responsibility, Greg, to guide everyone through the new world of work.
It's all on you.
Life. Oh man, but I am here for it. Yeah, man. Well, this week I got an interesting call from one of my colleagues, and he was venting and he was saying, I've got this person working for me, and he just keeps telling me about his personal life, and it's totally irrelevant. And so I thought maybe it's a good time to make this our topic: when to keep personal things personal.
Yeah, and it's certainly something, I mean, we've probably all encountered it in some way in the workspace, but right now especially I feel like it's a difficult line since everything's so blurred right now. So I guess what are some of the important things to consider here at the top of this?
Yeah, well, there's some things that are true anytime. Of course, during this time of a lot of working from home, going to school from home, it is a lot more tricky, but you got to pay attention to what you are letting people see or not see. Of course, anytime you can manage it, it's not appropriate to bring your camera into your bathroom or your bedroom, make sure that you're creating as neutral of a space as possible so people are paying attention to you versus your background. Some things are personal and private. Let's keep them that way. But when we are in normal office mode, no matter where we are, there's certain things about your personal life that don't help your case for being valued as a member of your team.
Yeah, it's kind of that idea of saying too much, I guess, over explaining things. Is that kind of part of that?
Yeah, and the reason is that you might be actually working against yourself when you're oversharing. So one example would be personal reasons for missing work or missing a meeting or coming in late. You might be thinking that it's helpful that somebody knows that your dog got sick, but maybe your boss doesn't like dogs and doesn't think you should have a dog. Don't put it in your boss's hands to have the have the power to decide whether your excuse is good or not. You don't have to tell the reason why you're missing work, why you're late, why you couldn't make a meeting. You can just say yes, no. As little information as possible is usually going to work more in your favor.
So yeah, don't overshare. You don't need to explain everything out. That's some great advice right there. What are some other examples?
Well, we know about that kind of old rule about don't talk about religion, sex, or politics in a professional venue. And we're coming up into the final days of the election. So we do need to be careful about what we talk about at work and what we don't, and assuming that people feel the same way we do about every topic. Of course, it is relevant to our work, who we vote for, but the most important thing is that you get out there and vote, and in your personal time, go out there and campaign for the candidates and the causes that you really care about. You also have to be careful that you're
lobby your coworkers.
Yeah, probably not appropriate. And that goes for your sense of humor and your jokes too. People can say things that just are not appropriate in a workspace, so you do want to be able to edit yourself a little bit.
All great advice. So all of those things, certainly things to think about here, and especially coming up with the political season, like you said. What are some tips that people can kind of walk through to make sure that they're following this advice?
Yeah, always ask yourself, is this building my case? Is this adding to my value as a team member? Especially if you're in something like job negotiations, you're asking for a raise. If you're giving a lot of personal reasons, you're not actually basing the decision in facts. If I go in and say, like I need more money because I need to do this in my personal life. It's a very different case to make than saying something like, this is the median salary and I deserve this because I saved the company money. Then you're making a fact-based argument, and your arguments are going to be so much more powerful, and you're going to be valued more as a member of your team.
Such great advice, yeah, when it comes down to that. Well, Ciara, as always, appreciate you being here for Work Life. And once again, I want to let everybody know, where can they go to follow everything that you're doing?
Go find us at pregamehq.com. Pregame is the business where we are coaching people on getting better at business. And I am pleased to be here with you sharing some of our pro tips.
Thank you, Ciara. Always good to see you. Always good to hear your advice. Thanks a lot. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, Greg.
Ciara Presser right here. Such great stuff. And of course, you can go to digitaltrends.com and take a look at all of the past segments too of Work Life and check all that out. It's really valuable for everybody. All right, up next, I sat down with Natalie Eva Marie. Yes, the former wrestler. And she's going to be talking about a new movie that she's in with Bruce Willis. That's up next. Stick around, back in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler, and again, thanks for joining us wherever you are. We appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button because we get to talk to some pretty amazing people. And you know our next guest as a wrestler, an entertainer, and an actor who is starring alongside Bruce Willis in the new movie Hard Kill, which is out on demand and digital. We're joined by Natalie Eva Marie. Hello. Thanks for being here.
Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for having me.
I do love that we matched in purple, but that's not what we're going to be talking about. So first off, I wanted to bring up this movie, which, watching the trailer, if everybody who's seen it, it's really intense, definitely with that military theme to it. And I kind of wondered, for you as an actor, what kind of training did you need to go through to play like this role of a military specialist?
For sure. It definitely was one of those things where I wanted to bring justice to our military men and women, because I come from a military family. Dad, Vietnam veteran, in the Marines. My brother-in-law is currently in the Army right now serving. So, I wanted to bring our servicemen and women some justice onto the big screen. So I went ahead and I got fortunate enough to train with ex-Delta Force. Shout out to James Fleming. To, show me the ropes, the real deal, so that I could, bring that to set.
That's got to be pretty intense, I would imagine. I mean, and talking about that, you mentioned that you have a family in the military, and I know supporting military members has been a big part of what you've done, including going overseas to meet with troops. And I know you went to Afghanistan, and I just wanted to ask you on a personal level, what was the most intense part about that, going somewhere like Afghanistan?
Honestly, I think just really soaking it in, that how grateful I am to be doing what I'm doing because of these men and women. So going over there and seeing just the living conditions and what they have to do day in and day out to serve our country, and for us to, even me sitting here on a Zoom call having this interview with you, being in a movie, is just the ultimate just a really humbling experience. And, I'm just so grateful for the men and women who serve.
Something I wanted to ask you about with this movie in particular. So, and this isn't giving away a spoiler, but it's about basically a piece of stolen technology. Sure. I got that from the trailer. So with that, though, talking about stolen technology, what is one piece of tech that you wouldn't be able to live without?
Oh my God. I feel like that's kind of your phone. I feel like everything is literally on my phone, from business to personal. If I didn't have my phone, I probably wouldn't be able to do the Zoom. Um, but yeah, I would have to say in this day and age, for sure, my phone.
What app do you use the most on it?
Probably my email and Instagram.
Nice. Something else I want to ask you about, speaking of Instagram, in addition to entertainment, you also have a
Yeah.
fashion line, which you launched a few years ago, which in part gives back to women in need, which I love that. And I wanted to ask you, for both you and for other women out there, what are some of the biggest obstacles you faced getting into the fashion business?
I think it's one of those things where it kind of carries over into any industry. It's um, that self-doubt, kind of second guessing yourself. And ultimately, it always comes down to having the belief and the passion in whatever it is that you're doing and whatever it is that you want to do, and going full force ahead. Because even in my, career, there's been so many times I've been told no, or doors have shut. And it's just one of those things where if you want it bad enough, you have to keep going, because eventually you're going to get whatever you put into it. And you're going to get a ton of no's, or you can't do this, along the way. And so as long as you can keep pushing and forging ahead, you got it.
Something else I wanted to bring up, obviously you are very fit for all these different things that you do for wrestling, for acting, and you talk about that on Instagram and Twitter and some of the different ways that you stay in shape. And for everybody out there who during this pandemic, maybe gyms aren't open back up, what recommendation do you have for people to stay in shape while at home?
Honestly, it's one of those things where I'm so passionate about health and fitness. Health is definitely wealth. And with NemFit, we have our own program, my husband and I, at nataliemarie.com. And I think a lot of people get overwhelmed when it comes to working out or exercising. And you don't need a gym. I have programs, 30-day programs, that you can strictly just body weight, no equipment needed whatsoever. And it's all HIIT training, which is high intensity interval training. You get the best bang for your buck, and you're burning the most fat in the least amount of time. So for people that just kind of get overwhelmed by that gym, or a lot of gyms actually are closed right now too, we wanted to make something where anybody can do it literally in your backyard, your front yard, in your apartment, in your room, in your family room, anywhere you can get a sweat on. And that's the name of the game, is break a sweat every day.
What's your favorite piece of fitness technology that you've incorporated in?
Technology, as in equipment wise, or just...
Yeah, well, whether it could be like a smart band or anything like that. Do you use anything like that, I
Yeah,
guess,
I
when
do.
working out?
I think for me, the game changer was I wear a heart rate monitor. It's a MyZone. So anybody that is watching this, I have a code that you can save. It's NemFit, which is my program anyways, on Instagram. So I love it because it's a game changer. You get to monitor kind of your level, not only your heart rate, but you get to see how hard you're working. Because I know a lot of the times, we start walking or doing some type of movement and you're not really pushing your body to the level that you can be. And with the heart rate monitor, you get to watch and see where you're at, engage it right there on your phone. So it's awesome.
Going to your wrestling career, and I want to say this too, you also have a series called Faces and Heels, which follows women trying to make it into the world of wrestling. But along that theme with Faces and Heels, you were a classic heel during your career. What is it about being a heel that you loved the most?
I gotta say, I feel, I don't know if it's me personally, I'm always drawn to the bad guy. I really enjoy playing the bad guy, and there's nothing, you can't have a good guy without a solid bad guy. So I loved playing a heel, and the fact that I get to be the host of this show, Faces and Heels, is really cool, because I definitely relate to all the women on the show, because I pretty much kind of did the exact same thing, which a lot of people got to see on Total Divas. So, and it's just so much funner being a bad guy than a good guy.
I know it is. The heels are always way, to me, more entertaining. For you though, with this, having this wrestling career that you had, other than yourself, who do you think is the greatest heel of all time?
Greatest heel of all time? Ooh. I mean, I love Brock Lesnar. I love him. I have to say, I'm gonna go with my boy Brock.
Brock Lesnar. All right, that's a solid choice. One final question here too, and then I want to remind everybody too to see your movie. But if you could co-star with any actor in a movie, who would it be?
If I could co-star with any actor, I would have to go with. I'm gonna go with Angelina Jolie. She's a badass and all-around phenomenal actress. So I think that would be an amazing opportunity to be alongside of her and learn from her.
Nice. Well, Natalie, I want to remind everybody, your movie is out. One other question I did have for you. What was it like working with Bruce Willis?
I mean, amazing. You can't think of an action film without Bruce Willis. So the fact that I got to play opposite of him and be in an action-packed film is just kind of one of those bucket list type things because, I mean, who doesn't know Die Hard and all of the other movies that he's done? So it was amazing and kind of a surreal experience. I still can't believe that I actually have a movie out with Bruce Willis that people can watch. So it was definitely a highlight, and I'm really excited for everybody to see the film.
Nice. Well, Hard Kill out on demand and digital. People can go watch it now. A combination of a lot of different things. You got tech, you got action, you got the military side of it. So definitely covering a lot of bases. And I want to say thank you so much for joining us here on the show too to talk about this. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Natalie, Eva Marie, right here on Digital Trends Live. So Hard Kill out and available now. Go check that out. And thanks everybody for tuning in. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler, and again, thanks for joining us wherever you are. We appreciate it, and it is now time for another edition of Tech Briefs, where we recap some of the biggest stories in technology in about 10 minutes. And today, I am joined by our guest co-host, Lisa Marie Segarra. Lisa Marie, hello.
Hi, how are you?
I am doing good. I'm glad to have you here today. So we've got a lot to talk about in a short amount of time. So starting off, let's go to this Apple Epic Games fight that has been going on now for a couple of weeks. So kind of let's recap a little bit of it for everybody. Like Fortnite, obviously not in the App Store right now. There's lawsuits pending against Apple and Google. And Apple started off this week, at least with revelations from some of the lawsuits, fighting hard by alluding to the fact that they could suspend Unreal Games from being used, or Unreal Engine, from being used by Epic Games, which would mean other apps could be affected by it, other games could be affected by it. But a judge ruled that Apple can't do that. They can't take Unreal Engine out, but they can keep Fortnite out. And so that's a huge move right there. And, for you, especially being our gaming editor, I wanted to talk to you about this. How does this affect Fortnite users? Do you think this is something that's really going to make a big difference for Epic Games?
So I think if it were 2017, yes, absolutely. But at this point, Fortnite is so big that I just don't see it being the same issue. So around 2017, it was like the world woke up to Fortnite. Like every kid was playing it, and then all of a sudden their parents actually figured out what on earth they were playing. But now we live in like a post 2017 Fortnite world. Like SNL already knows about it, so it's not that hard to pick it up. And that's the real advantage of mobile. It's that it's super accessible. But now that everyone already knows it, it's already the place to be because your friends are on there. There are concerts in there. You can just pick it up on a computer, like any gaming device. It's so ubiquitous now that I don't think it's really going to hurt Epic as much as it's going to hurt the App Store. And similarly, Epic isn't the only one that has had a bone to pick with the App Store. And, it is also Google Play. But, Spotify also removed subscriptions from the App Store, so you can't actually get in-app purchases. Because if I get a Spotify subscription, for example, on their website, Spotify gets all of that. But if I do it through my phone, then Apple suddenly gets part of that. And Spotify is like, I don't like that too much. And, similarly, Epic kind of circumvented the Google Play Store. So it's not unheard of that they are coming back with this issue. And now that they have a lot more power, a lot more users, especially in quarantine, everyone is on Fortnite. They're so big that they have two versions. There's the Hangout version and the competitive playing side that they're saying, okay, now we're using that power. And we don't want to give 30% of our profits to Apple and Google when they're just there. It wouldn't happen on the Switch, right, for example. So yeah, I think it really hurts Apple way more.
Yeah, and I think you're seeing all these other companies now too, like start to pick at it. Like you mentioned a few of them there. Facebook also today talking about some issues that they have because they have their business events that I guess you can promote business events on there, and they're not taking any cut of what the tickets sales are. But they had to put a note on there that said Apple will take 30%, and then Apple blocked that app from the store. So now they're going back and forth. It's a huge thing. I think until this lawsuit with Epic plays out, that's really going to be the ultimate thing to figure out what happens. But it's these two sides are going to keep on battling. Definitely a huge story. I'm sure it'll be part of next week's topics as well. Going from that, another big topic that's been trending for a while now is TikTok. And that is more news coming out from them. This week in particular, they're kind of counting down the days. I believe it's November 12th is the deadline that they have to be sold, but it sounds like it's going to be sooner than that because they extended it to the 90 days. But the CEO, Kevin Mayer, stepped down. Kind of understandably, this was probably not part of what he signed on for. It was a battle with the government to run this company. They also released some statistics saying 100 million monthly users in the US and 50 million daily users. So that's a lot. And now with this impending sale, we're hearing a lot more about what it's going to be valued and what some of these deals are. And it's interesting people partnering up. The latest is Microsoft and Walmart apparently partnering for their offer. And then you've got Oracle that allegedly came out with, I believe it was like $20 to $30 billion, but also would split the profits with ByteDance, the parent owner. It's just getting wild right now. How do you see this playing out? Like, who do you think is going to win?
Oh, man. I mean, TikTok ends up winning no matter what, don't they? I mean, it's funny when you think about it because it was crazy when Instagram sold to Facebook for $1 billion. Now that is out the window. Like that looks like chump change now. And that's Instagram we're talking about, right? So, no matter what, TikTok as a whole really wins. I'm also not shocked that Microsoft needed a partner. Once it happened, I was like, oh, that makes sense. I almost wonder if, especially with quarantine, again, so many people have started using TikTok or using it more often. I mean, myself included, if I'm being honest, that, TikTok went back and said, okay, actually your valuation doesn't hold up. We're going to need some more money and you want this and we want this. So let's make this happen. And that's where you enter Walmart, which seems super weird. I mean, it's kind of like TikTok, Walmart, and Microsoft enter a bar, and now they're all the same thing. But
right?
When you think about the sales and like marketing, it's not shocking.
Yeah. I mean, everybody wants a piece of that user data. I mean, I think that the 100 million monthly users in the U.S. alone, and they would be buying like Canada and I think it's Australia and New Zealand operations too. So throw in however many extra millions there, but it's just how valuable that user data is. You also have to wonder with that $20 to $30 billion or more, whatever they're going to get, what's that going to do to all their competitors? Like Triller's probably stoked about that because that's just got to bump up what their value is or any of the competitors. So it's crazy. They do think though, the one other thing is that the sale could happen next week, go through. So again, expect a lot of information about that. And we've got the whole wrap up of the entire soap opera at digitaltrends.com you can follow along with. And going to our third topic, bringing Microsoft back again, we do have some hardware this week, at least as far as people being able to get their hands on it and finally see it in person. That's the Microsoft Surface Duo, and by people I mean a few journalists. So Jeremy Kaplan, our editor-in-chief, got to finally touch this thing. This is the two-screened phone, but it's two screens completely just connected by a hinge. They don't attempt to do a foldable screen like Samsung. They look at this more, it seems to be marketed more as like a work device, like something that you're going to be using for that kind of purpose, a little bit of entertainment, but they're looking at it kind of that way. What do you think about these kind of foldable devices, and maybe this one in particular?
Yeah, I think I hate it. So it's really funny, and especially like in the video playing, you see like using it like a DS or 3DS, but also like a tablet, but also like a book. I'm just like, wow, they're really just throwing everything at the wall. I feel like phone technology has gotten to a point where there was so much innovation when we think about like 2011 and Siri, the front-facing camera, and that like changed the game. We were like, video phones are real now, and different security measures. And now I feel like, okay, let's add a fifth camera. Like nothing is really interesting anymore. And so now we have different things, and we're kind of reaching this weird period in innovation where I think that when we look back in 5 to 10 years, we're going to be like, what was up with that notch thing? What was up with that folding phone trend? It's kind of like, post HD, like there wasn't a lot of innovation in televisions before that. And then you had standard definition, and they got bigger and smaller, and then they had flat screen standard definition, but then HD really changed everything. You had different types. They were getting smaller and thinner, and you could put it on your, wall more easily. But then after that, they were like curved TVs, 3D TVs? I don't know. What do we do here? And I feel like we're really much in that space with phones now. And I just think that, I like to see innovation. I'm not going for that. I'd rather see companies trying something. But at the same time, it's $1,400, and that's a lot to pay for an experiment, basically.
Yeah, $1,400 is a lot, but that's a bold statement. So basically you're saying foldable phones are the 3D televisions of now.
Yeah, I hate it. I feel like tablets are the in-between of phones and computers, and foldable phones are the in-between of an in-between, like between tablets and phones. Like, why? Who is this for? And we say like work, but I don't want to work on a phone. I don't want to work on anything smaller than a tablet as it is. People already have issues working on tablets and still mostly prefer laptops. So why would we think, less keyboard, less mouse, less screen space, that's going to change it? It just doesn't make sense to me.
All right, well, we've got our details and Jeremy's unboxing video too at digitaltrends.com. You can go and take a look at that for the Microsoft Surface Duo. And you're right, $1,400, I'm not buying it regardless. So, I'm not the market for it just on that part. But I want to remind everybody, we do have this up as an audio podcast as well, Tech Briefs. You can go there, hit subscribe, share the show, let other people know about it. We keep you up to date with what's going on in technology. And Lisa Marie, thank you so much for joining me today. Great job. Always good getting your insight. And I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me as always.
Lisa Marie Segarra. I think I hate it. All right. Everybody, thank you very much for joining us here at Digital Trends Live. We are live every single weekday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, and we bring you all of these trending tech headlines, news, interviews, lots of interviews this week. You can check out all of them at digitaltrends.com or on youtube.com/digitaltrendslive. Go there, hit subscribe. We'd like to see that. That would be great if you could so do so. And coming up next week, of course, we'll have lots of interviews. We'll have lots of news for you. Got Drew Prindle back for Awesome Tech You Can't Buy Yet. And I want to give a special shout out segment here for Friday to Lucy. So Lucy, hi, keep on skateboarding. You're doing great. All right, thanks everybody for tuning in. I'm Greg Nibbler. I'll see you next week with another edition of Digital Trends Live.